And we are live after a long and interesting backstage talk. Welcome to the window to our mind, number 34. How are you, Gray?
I'm not
Gray.
fast with the mute button, apparently. I'm doing great, other than forgetting to unmute myself. It's kind of stupid with this Giphy tube thing. Yeah, I forget that I have two mutes. I keep looking at the one and I'm like, I'm not muted. And then it turns out I am. But you know what? I'm doing fabulous. We're here on a Wednesday. It's awesome. We get to talk about, the window to our mind on a Wednesday. Always good. How are you doing, DC? Always awesome to
Doing
talk to
good.
you, sir.
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's gonna be my birthday this Saturday, and I officially turned into an adult.
Happy birthday, man. You will have great airs very soon. Don't worry about that. Um, so yeah. Um, in my end,
You'll get my curse soon.
Oh, the air is there now. Hi there. Um, so in my end, things are weird. We talked about it backstage, and I think now it's the perfect time for the intro. So I asked the question because this time around, I know it's me. I'm guilty of charge. Why do humans have religion? And I think it will be interesting. And yeah, Gray.
Hmm.
Why do we have religion?
That's a good question. I guess it would depend on your definition of religion. People, kind of like systems that kind of explain things. We're not comfortable with not knowing. So I think a lot of it is to kind of put forward that, hey, there are answers for this. You just have to trust in this. And yeah, it will all work out according to a plan. It's uncomfortable not knowing like what or why or when or how. And like there are attempts to kind of explain that. Almost every religion has like a creation story, and then it's got kind of rules to follow, and then there's certain like societal benefits from it as well, such as like sense of community, and then it can actually like strengthen a small community, kind of bring them closer together because they share the same belief. Because who doesn't want to be with somebody who's thinking like them, acting like them, doing the same thing? I think those all factor into it, but I guess it really depends like what you mean by religion. If we're just talking like actual like theology, does it have to include a god, or could you be religiously practicing some sort of ideology or something like that? And then I would say it's easier to find meaning and to find community. I think those are kind of the main two benefits, but I'm pretty sure somebody deep in it would have a lot more to say.
Yeah, I will ask DC, why do you think humans have religion?
It's kind of similar to what Grace said, just to like, for some people to find like meaning in life and what makes them like and see how their journeys really are. Because other than that, I can't really think of an answer.
Okay, well, I gotta say before I provide some kind of answer, it's kind of interesting because for a long time, well, since Palestine and the others started like shooting at each other like they do, I thought it was
Which
all about
time?
religion. Well, recently, with With the other people, um, I think it's Israeli. I think not quite sure there. I'm not really
Yeah,
good. Um,
yeah, that is kind of the current one. Israel
um,
Palestine thing.
yeah, I thought that was all about religion. I think that place because it's a sacred place. And it's interesting because I have a coworker that's around from that place. He's not necessarily Palestine or whatever, but he's a neighbor from them and he knows them very well. And when we had that talk, because it happened, um, he was like, "Oh my, you really thought it was about religion?" I'm like, "Oh, it wasn't?" And he was like, "No, the one that invades, they just want to expand." So I mentioned that because we have a way of thinking that is really typical of here, if you can call it that way, because I'm sure I'm not the only one that was thinking it was all about religion. Um, and now to get back on track, I kind of almost lost the train of thought. Religion is something we weaponize a lot, or we use weaponize a lot, and it's been like that for centuries. And because of that, we always, as non-believer, when we always have that bad taste where we think only of negative things. But when you believe, it's different because it brings you answers to questions that you really want answers to, even if you don't really have the answers to. It's so messy. I'm sorry. Um, trying to freestyle there, but people need to believe in something, and this is why you may not need religion, because I feel like it's more stressful to not have the answers um, than to have the answers. If you have the answers, you're at ease. You're like, oh, if I die, maybe there's another life after, so it's not really the end. And that gives you kind of hope. And you mentioned the community aspect. That's true. A lot of people get to see each other at church or have special events to attend to talk about religion. Sometimes they have debates about religion. I think religion is just a tool to bond with others, and yeah, that's why some human need religion. Anything else to add, Dre, on that after everything I said? Maybe something came up to your mind.
Yeah, there were kind of so many different ways to kind of go on that. Like it's getting back to kind of the first thing that you were talking about with like kind of the Israel Palestine thing. Like you're right. I don't think that's specifically about religion now, but I don't know if religion wasn't involved. I don't think either side would be fighting for that place so much. It does seem, you're right. Like there are these kind of holy sites contained within that is the reason. And then, prophecy in their books that say that they're supposed to have this land that kind of leads to part of this fight where, if it was completely secular, I don't know, it feels like you could probably move the group somewhere else and then you wouldn't have that whole, but I was designed to be here type deal. So I don't know. It does make me wonder if this prolonged conflict that's gone on since basically Israel was created, I don't know. It does make me wonder if that would keep going on. But everything else that you're kind of bringing up, religion, like you're right, those are factors of like kind of the main religions that we're talking about that we kind of know of. But I don't know, when you get to some of the different religions, like some of the Eastern ones, like Shintoism, for instance, it doesn't really have that type of deal. It's kind of more like, there's spirits of each object, like, well, not necessarily object, but it's not necessarily the same type of deal. It's not, this idea of getting into heaven. It's kind of more respecting. the nature of certain things, but yeah, I know a lot of it is kind of like there's tree spirits. There's a lot of it has to do with kind of balance, and then if you get to some of the kind of more, I don't know if you'd call it obscure ones, but certainly like least offensive religions out there, Jainism kind of comes to mind, where they go so far. So they're completely peaceful. They're completely vegetarian. They go so far as to where like you'd have to put cheesecloth over the water that you drink so that in case a bug gets into it or something, you'd prevent it from drowning because every life is precious. I don't know, something like that. I don't think you'd get necessarily the same additional effects that other religions might bring about, that, you know, I have this prophecy, so I must actually make it come about, and I'm going to try and convert people with force. They don't have any of that in like their religion. I'm not sure every religion is the same in that kind of aspect, but there would have to be a community thing, you know, like we all believe in this thing. We are this team. There is part of that. That is, it seems to be a deeply human thing, you know, like it does go back to kind of that tribalism thing, that us versus them. There is like a sense of community that I find it very hard to find in secular communities. I mean, it doesn't feel like there is that kind of we're all the same thing kind of anywhere else. Maybe that's my own limited experience, but for moving around a lot, it feels like I've been on the outside of a bunch of those clique groups, and I don't know. I think that could exist without religion, but somehow that really kind of amplifies it. It is a sense of like community and like we are this, where everybody else is that. I don't know. I guess those are the immediate thoughts that kind of came to mind, but yeah, I feel like I'm rambling now. DC, do you have any thoughts, sir?
And not much. I don't really talk much about religion. But yeah.
But why? This is the question. Why to dig deeper? Why it's not something you talk about? There might
In
be a
other
reason.
words, there's a lot of context, but in other words, let's just say I don't have the best history with people who are religious. Yeah, that's the simplest answer. I don't have the best
Okay.
history, and all that. Yeah, simple answer. I don't have the best history.
Fair enough. I feel like I kind of have the same type of deal. Like I don't know. So I was like raised in, I guess I'll go through the damn story. So yeah, I was baptized Catholic and like raised Catholic when I was a kid, and then my parents got divorced like almost immediately. So right after the baptism, it's like, okay, my mom, I guess, got shunned by like everyone there because you're not supposed to get divorced. And then she went to find her own religion, and my God, she was searching for like my entire childhood. So at one point she went to, I think, like Lutheran, and then I can't remember what, and then Episcopalian, and then she went to Jewish, and then she went to Unitarianism, and then she went to Quakerism for like 4 years or something like that. And I was a kid, so like I had to kind of go to all of these. So I've kind of experienced the service from all of them. The only ones that were really happening was like these like Southern Baptist ones were awesome. Like, my God, they had like full bands and like these giant choirs. Like, that shit was awesome. It was like you're going to a concert like every Sunday. But I don't know. I never connected with any of these. So I felt like I always had a bunch of questions, and anyone that I'd answer, I'd get a different, or anyone that I'd ask, I would get a different answer from. So I don't know. I've never felt like I belonged to any of them, but I've definitely experienced them like heavily from the inside. Except for the Eastern religions, I've kind of only studied those, but never really participated. So I don't know. But I see a whole bunch of I don't know, benefits that could come from them that I'm not seeing where you'd get elsewhere, like in this secular world. Since not going to those things, I don't see like singles night or like family get-togethers that is just everybody in the community like bringing a potluck or whatever. I don't know. It feels like there's certain advantages of this whole like community, we are one thing that these groups seem to get that I don't see elsewhere. I don't know. What's your kind of experience with everything multi? Are you comfortable talking about it?
Yeah, it's hilarious because I also had weird experience with religious people. So at my workplace, there's two co-worker, and I don't get it. They are both Christian, but they always argue about stuff about faith. So I'm like, why is it a point of conflict? Don't you both agree on something? You have the
Well, it
same
kind of
name
depends.
religion.
Some might be Trinitarian, some might be, non-Trinitarian. It really depends. And then my weirdest one. Sorry to steal the mic back. Recently, like within like the last 3 years, my dad, who's been like a lifelong atheist, all of a sudden became like a young Earth creationist. Like he is like a scientist. He took many biology classes. But now he doesn't believe in evolution. He doesn't believe that dinosaurs are real. Everything was made like a few thousand years ago. And this is just like new. Like in his 60s, he just kind of came up with this. So I don't know. That's kind of my experience with it. Sorry for cutting you off, Multi. There's a lot of different flavors of Christianity, even if they don't all align, you know.
That's fine. That's the that's the interesting twist and turn. But there's another one, but I'm not that close to it. It's more of a online thing, and maybe you've heard about it. I will try to not be too specific, but if you know who I'm talking about, you will know. You will know, basically. If you know, you will know. If you don't, then it's fine. You will still kind of understand where I'm going with this. But some people weaponize religion in their narrative and their videos where they know people are um, are into religion, and sometimes they will have a lot of hateful thing to say about specific group of people like LGBTQ plus and such, and they will say, "Oh, it's the devil work," or it's something that's not Christian to be like that. That kind of narrative. I'm sure you did stumble upon some of these really bad takes out there. Did you agree?
Oh yeah. Not only that, but yeah, now every time I talk to my dad, I get preached to some weird thing. But same thing with, this is all the devil's work. Yeah, it's the devil at hand right here. You can tell it's the devil's work. I don't know. I really don't like that. I've had way too many debates, and it just ends up with him like preaching at me, which is so weird. Yeah, just going through my entire life where he had nothing to do with religion and just didn't believe in that. Oh, and then sorry, my grandma was actually like in this weird cult that I've never heard anybody else like talk about. But Swedenborg was the dude, like this guy named Emanuel Swedenborg. He created his own religion where I think men are from Mars, like literally from Mars, and it's really wacky. But yeah, so I think that turned him off of religion. So my dad, it was his mother. So I don't know, just going his whole life not believing into anything, and then just like in his 60s, just like slamming into this like extreme version of it, where everything is evil, anything he doesn't like is the work of the devil. Man, it is really frustrating to try to talk to somebody who's utterly convinced that they have the answer to everything.
Yeah. So DC, did you had any experience with weaponized religion?
Plenty. Like, yeah, I have. It was mainly a lot of people, like, how do I say it? Like, using it and using that as all they're not terrible people when they commit crimes and did terrible things to me, without going too much in detail. that's pretty much the basis of it. Some even use it as like, oh, they're superior than me just because I'm an atheist. Ever since this experience, I became an atheist. Don't believe it and all that. But yeah.
And it's interesting because I feel like most of the religion should be about loving your neighbor, loving each other, but a lot of people twist it, and I think that's the saddest part of it. And because you're not really into that much into that eastern part of religion and such, Gray, maybe you didn't really know about the next thing I will kind of bring up is sometime and and it's something I've seen a lot, and I will emphasize and say that in my workplace I'm the minority. Like most people are from other countries, and they have other sets of belief. And I've worked with a lot of Muslim people, and I've hang out a lot with a lot of Muslim people, and sometimes it's about control. And religion, especially the Muslim one, when they do their pray, that when they pray and such, they separate men and women.
Hmm.
And if you go over there, if you're a woman, it's still the 50s. If you're a woman, you're like a child. You need a man to
It's
bring you outside and to walk around with you.
it's worse than that. Depending on which country you're talking about, but like, yeah, like in the 50s, I would think that women could still walk around like without a chaperone. Maybe it wasn't advised, but it's not really an option in some of those countries. And that's one of the issues that you run into with like theocracy. Like if you get a government that is run on religious law, I don't know. It just when the state enforces it, that just it seems to me like it goes to a really far place. Yeah, I hadn't kind of expressed my experience with like Eastern religions, but yeah, I did actually date a girl who was Muslim. It was interesting because we had to be on the down low, I guess. Just her family would never approve of it, so we had to hide everything. But yeah, just seeing like the way that they treated her and like how little agency she had. I don't know. You're right. There does seem to be this control thing, but I guess that isn't that with all religion. It kind of gives you these laws, like even the inoffensive ones, like we were kind of talking about Jainism, where they believe in doing like no harm to others, but they still have these like strict rules. Like you need to be looking down as you're walking so that you don't like squash a bug. You gotta literally have cheesecloth over water as you drink it because you don't want to actually ingest a bug. It still seems like that is control in some way. Like you're given these sets of rules, you have to abide by them in order to be correct in this world. I don't know. It feels like there are some that would, universally be good as a sense of community. Like, the golden rule seems pretty decent. Like, whatever you do to others, they're probably going to do to you. So, treat others like you'd want to be treated. That seems pretty universal. I don't see an issue with that. But there are some really strict ones that all seem to be about control. I don't know. Was that kind of what you meant by control, or did I take it in a weird way?
That's exactly what I meant. You framed it on a much better way than I ever could, which is amazing. I like that. So, DC, anything you'd like to add about uh, religion being a tool for control?
And not much other than don't weaponize it, because then that kind of throws a lot of people off, and it just makes you look even worse as a person. So yeah.
And it's
Sure.
sad. It's sad when we walk into that, and again, don't let governments be controlled by religion, because it's It's not good. It's sad to say, but it's like giving too much power. And it's very interesting how a lot of religious people, they want that echo chamber around them. What I mean by there is they will only hang out with others, or they will try to convince you that, oh, you should start believing as well. Or it's like, for them, if they're not right, it's not right. But again, that may be my experience, and my experience only. Maybe I push it a stretch too far, but I feel like most of the time when they learn you're an atheist, they try to understand why, and they try to convince you that they're
You
right.
found that? I've never found anyone try to find understanding with it. It was just like, you're wrong, and here's why you're wrong. That's awesome if people in Canada are a little bit more understanding. I don't feel like we get that here. I don't feel like I get that here, I should say.
They pretend they want to understand. That's one thing. So that's cool. Like I admit that's cool. They try to pretend, but they don't really want to. They pretend. So they say, "Oh yeah, okay, I see, but why don't you think that?" Or they say, "Oh, but your way of thinking doesn't explain this or that, but religion does." It's like they still try to convert you. But
Well, depending on the religion, it is kind of in the scripture. Like if you're talking about Christianity, now I'm forgetting the verse, but it is basically you should be prepared to give your gospel to the masses. Yeah, I'm definitely misquoting it. But we were kind of talking about control, and it feels like we only talked about like negative aspects of it. I'm not saying everybody needs it or that it's a great thing for everybody, but I don't know, those that don't necessarily have control, like a lot of people do get, like jailhouse conversions or prison conversions, excuse me, where, like they are out of control in their life or something, and then they're needing something that can kind of anchor them. Same thing with, like AA or a lot of addictions out there. Like a lot of them are faith-based, find a higher power. It doesn't necessarily have to be God, but it's something that can anchor you, and then you do have there is some control. There are these rules. I think we talked about it before. I can't remember what episode, but I have a cousin. Well, I guess he's like an adopted person to one of my aunts. He has some mental disorders. He was diagnosed with psychopathy. So he doesn't necessarily have like that empathy that everybody else has. And religion has really kind of given him some sort of basis on like, okay, this is right, this is wrong. I'm not saying that that's what everybody needs, but it really seems to be working for him. A lot of his life was going in a very bad direction because he kind of didn't stick to any sort of rules. He didn't have kind of his own moral code. It was just kind of, whatever gets him the most at that given time. Ever since he did kind of convert, and he is like really devout in that, it seems like on the outside he's a much better person. Like he actually has some structure to his life, but I don't know. It seems to be working for him. I don't know that that's necessarily the control that everybody should have, but if you don't have that control and you don't have, a good sense of what is right and wrong, what your moral compass is, maybe this is a shorthand way or a way to give you a version that has been somewhat tested through time that, it's not like everything from so his is a Christian denomination, if you will. So, it is only a few thousand years old, but it does seem like a lot of it, like the mixed fabrics, like only eating certain foods on certain days, not eating shellfish, stuff like that, has gone by the wayside. Instead, it's kind of more the socially acceptable versions of it. But if you ask him his views on like the LGBT community, I'm sure it's not positive. I'm sure he's not out there as an ally or anything like that. So I don't know. It does seem like a definite trade-off, but he doesn't seem to be going down the criminal path that he previously was.
And to echo what you just said, um, I think I've seen somewhere that sometimes people are lost and they find themselves because of religion. So sometimes it does have a good effect if you take what's good in religion, which is like love the others, uh, and if you love others, you're most likely to be loved as well because we are what we eat. Um, I don't know if I was clear enough on that. Was I?
You're
Yeah, I
clear.
think I get it. But
Okay.
if you do want to expand, you can always expand on it. But I think you're
Yeah.
clear.
Yeah. Well, that's most likely the idea I wanted to bring. So that's true. Like we tend to see a lot of the negative, but again, uh, another positive we already mentioned, the community aspect. It's not all bad. People do go at church, and sometimes they get along. They become friend and lover and such. Um, that brings some people closer. Um, so yeah, that could be a way to bond with others. Um, yeah, I don't know what I can add more. Um, so we'll pass the torch to DC. Do you want to add something on that?
And not really.
What about you, Ray?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it would probably be nice, if we had evened this out with like a religious person on the panel or something like that. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm religious about anything, which kind of sucks in a way. But I don't know. I don't have a hatred for religion where I feel like a lot of people, maybe it's just the time that I kind of was looking into all this shit when my dad kind of became a young earth creationist. Um, I don't know. I went and I got into like the whole like atheist debates community and stuff like that. And it seems like a lot of them are just, lack of religion. Instead, it's religion is evil. We must like kill it. And a very zealous, like everything evil in this world is because of religion. I don't know if that's
extreme.
necessarily true. Yeah, like it feels like that's just as extreme as some of the religious extremists. I think, anybody that gets a benefit out of religion, like, hell yeah, like that is awesome. I definitely did experience a sense of community in all these different religions that I did experience when I was growing up. And it does feel like without them, there is a struggle to like even meet the neighbors. Why would they want to deal with you if you're going to hell and you're not going to be in this next world? Like, you're just in the way here. But there's also, some really nice people in there who do kind of look for the most moral thing to do. They are giving to charity. They are trying to help the less fortunate. I don't know that necessarily everybody who lacks religion is doing that, is getting into so much charity. There are people that are, and they are doing like secular charities, and that's awesome. But I don't know. I guess I would want my government super secular, but I don't give a shit if anybody has religion, whatever your beliefs are. Like, that's all personal shit. Like, keep it, not keep it to yourself, but keep it out of government and enjoy, do whatever
Yeah.
you want to do. I could care less if, you're a weird religion of like body modification. It's like, cool. Like, if you're over 18, like, do it. Like, cut off some fingers, paint yourself black. I'm thinking of this weird dude. I can't remember his name, but he's making himself into an alien. One day he will get there.
Wow.
But yeah, I don't know, like all that stuff. It seems like there is like this devout, really, I don't know exactly what you'd call it, enthusiastic need to do this. So I don't know, like there are certain ideologies that I think border on religion that have kind of come up in the last few years. I don't know. I don't think that any of that should necessarily be stopped. It does seem like society kind of goes through these swings, but yeah, where it gets to kind of restricting other people's rights and freedoms, I think anything, whether it's secular or religious, that starts kind of taking that away. I'm not for that. You do you, but let everybody else do their thing. I guess that's seen kind of extremism from the secular side and from the religious side. But I don't know. If you had your druthers, would you have religion in this world, even though you don't necessarily belong to a faith?
I think, yeah, like have your fun, have your candy, you know. That's my way of thinking. But it's interesting how I was listening to you and DC, and as the episode went on, I actually had other ideas I could bring up. Human needs religion or have religion because it's another market. What I mean by there is how many like object you can purchase that are religious, the crosses, the toys, the statue, like even in media in general. Look at Daredevil, how religion affect the character himself in most of the past lore. Or
For
uh,
sure. Or you could go fictional religion, like, any of the Jedi. That is a religion of space wizards. But, it makes for really fun fantasy.
yeah, and I will bring up two other examples, like Lucifer TV show and Preacher are two TV shows about religion. They deconstruct different aspects of religion, and it's very entertaining and clever. So we have religion because we like to create, we like to believe in things. Um, So this is how we are. We like to believe and to create fantasies around beliefs. I think that's a way we can frame it. Um, do you want to add more on that, DC?
And not really.
What about you, Gray?
No, I think that's pretty well said. And yeah, it can make for some really, I guess, yes. Instead of saying, no, I've got nothing to add, and then adding something, yes, apparently I have a little bit to add. I don't know. I think it can make for some really compelling stories, and it can make for some really conflicted characters, especially any sort of storyline that has like a crisis of faith. It's really relatable. Who hasn't kind of questioned things? Like, I think as humans, we are supposed to go through a period of questioning. It would be weird if just you were given the correct answers from the time you were a child on. We all kind of have, we all are searching in some way. So I don't know. They can make some really compelling stories in fiction, but some real life stories are extremely compelling as well. So I don't know. I would be in the camp of, religion can be really good, but it can definitely be used for evil. Like almost anything can be. I would hope the correct people are in charge, but the kind of people who want to be in charge generally are not necessarily the people that should be in charge. Absolute power corrupts absolutely, supposedly. So imagine you have the power of an entire religion behind you, that all these devout people are looking to you for guidance. I don't know. I don't think I'd be a good person to be on the, on that pulpit, in that throne. I don't know. It seems like it's a deeply human problem, and it's not like a religious problem, but I don't know. I guess, DC, you're the only one who didn't answer. Do you think religion should be? If you had your druthers, would you take it out of the world?
I mean, for some people, yes, but for everybody else who uses religion either as like a coping mechanism or use it to inspire others, no. But only for the ones who are downright using it for their own selfish reasons.
That's a
Fair
very
enough.
interesting answer. I like it. I don't necessarily agree with it because part of religion is free will, but I like your take. I
It
like that
depends.
perspective.
Some sects don't believe in free will, that everything is destined and preordained, but it depends. But I agree. Like, that seems like it'd be great, except for who decides at what point someone's like extremist and then gets religion taken away from them. And then doesn't that make you kind of that person? So then do they take that power away? I don't know. It just seems like it might be this weird cycle that keeps going. But I get you. I wish that extremists on every spectrum did not exist, but sadly,
They
we're
do.
human.
They do. Like, yeah, they do. That's uh, nature, I guess. Um. Anyway, except if you guys would like to add more, I think it's time for the outro. Maybe, maybe not.
Fair enough. That sounds good to me.
What do you have going on your end of the internet, DC?
Not much. I originally was gonna do a Q&A, but unfortunately didn't get any questions, so I decided to cancel it. I might just. I would. Been trying to get a video out, but I've been kind of messing up in certain areas. So I'm gonna wait until I'm ready or feeling ready. Other than that, almost nothing.
Well, you're
Okay.
making like a prolific amount. Oh, of course, my dogs have to bark right then. You're making a prolific amount of amalgam characters, and they're amazing.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work, man. Um, I think you have fun based on what I've seen because you do that a lot. So that's what matters the most. Having
Yeah.
fun.
You've got some
Um,
of the best names for these characters, man. Like every time I say it's like, yes, that is awesome. Yeah, some of them might not be internet friendly, but wow. You come up with some great names, dude.
Yeah.
that's good. That's good. Anything else, DC?
And not much.
What about you, Guri? What do you have going on your end of the internet?
I guess I should unmute myself again. I keep having those problems, but yeah, on Thursdays, there happens to be a
Oh,
group called The Thinkers. We get together on That Darn Kidda's channel. It's a bunch of people from at least 3 different continents who get together and disagree on almost everything. Tomorrow, we happen to be talking about teriology. So, Terrenceology? I can't remember exactly what it is. But it's Terrence Howard, the famous actor, the dude who played Rhodey in the first Iron Man. He is War Machine. That dude apparently created his own mathematics, physics, flying devices, a whole bunch of things. He is a Renaissance man who has recreated everything and proves that everybody else is wrong. So we have a mathematician coming in to tell us how Terrence Howard is just wrong about everything that he supposedly created. And yeah, he went so far as to send his, I think he called it a treatise, but it's like a 35-page paper to Neil deGrasse Tyson, who completely tore it to shreds in the nicest way possible. So yeah, we're kind of exploring that whole thing as our big think tomorrow. But please join us on That Darn Kidda's channel if you want to learn about just how I don't know, smart this amazing actor is with his way of coming up with new revelatory math, physics, and aerodynamic devices, if you will. So yeah, come join us. What do you have going on your side of the internet, Multi?
well, the usual stuff. So, what's left for this week is a Boys and Acolyte stream, either Friday or Saturday. And I know you're very occupied, but I still want to increase the chances. Um, so because we
I'm
are
up to date on all of them, unless Boys get released today. I forget which day that one releases. I think it's
uh,
Thursday, so
yeah, it's
I don't think it
Thursday.
released. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got feelings on all the episodes. I hope to join you. Not sure how
Okay.
busy I am, but it sounds fun.
So to increase the chances, what would work better for you? Friday around uh your evening, but much later because at basically in the afternoon for you, it's the red blue one, and I will need a break in between. But either evening, Friday, or Saturday morning. What works best for you?
I think Friday evening, but
Okay.
both are kind of busy. I think Friday evening would have more of a shot.
Okay. Around what time for you? I think I'm like 2 hours ahead of you. So around what time is the most likely you're free?
Um, I wouldn't set it around me. If you let me know what time you're doing it, I might be able to clear that up. But yeah, I
Do
don't know,
you
man. This weekend has gotten so much busier than it's supposed to be.
do you go to sleep early on Friday or late? Like usually,
Usually super late.
okay.
Yeah, I'm usually doing way too much, way too late.
Okay, so it will be Friday around probably um that would be either 10 or 11 my time. So that would be around 8 or 9 your time.
Sweet.
But
The odds
that
that I can make it are very high, so that would be good, man.
okay, so perfect. It will be Friday around 8 or 9 your time. So that would make it 10 or 11. So as of right now it's in between, but we will talk later. And if you need like an hour later or early, but you know you can make it, so just let me know and I will just adjust in consequence, um
Deal.
because Friday I don't work, so I have the time. And
Jealous.
I was surprised because basically I work from Sunday to Thursday because I work overnight, so I have a very
Fair
weird
enough.
schedule.
That
But
makes sense.
last Friday, I enjoyed my time a lot. I had the Red Blue one, and then I had the Nintendo Direct stream. A lot of very nice games for Nintendo. So
Yeah, I was actually kind of surprised on a lot of those. All of them looked pretty decent, uh, including the Donkey Kong reissue one. I don't know, but the Metroid one is the one that got me super excited.
hell yeah, I'm so hyped and excited. Anyway, so Friday we got a Red Blue about 2024 movies. Mia Culpa, Unfrosted, Abigail. I liked one of these three, and you can guess which one I liked. We will see Friday. Um, After that, we got Acolyte and the Boys, and that's it for this week. I have a Walking Dead video in the making. It's almost done. The last step is having some of uh, other people in our circle takes on the question I got for them. And the video is ready. Oh yeah, Pop Tart. Hi, Pop Tarts. I like that. And you're good with art. Gotta say, like, that's nice. You're good with tech.
Who
Um,
doesn't enjoy Pop Tarts?
um, Next week we got the last two episodes of this season of the Red Blue podcast. So Tuesday will be two 2023 movie, Late Night with the Devil and um, It's Man. They were two movies I really, really liked. So I will also send you the link, Dre, if you end up being available. I know you've seen Late Night with the Devil. Have you seen It Man?
I haven't. I've heard so many mixed things about Hitman. I really would like to. I might get a chance to check that one out this weekend.
If you
But
do,
I love Late Night with the Devil. I always love arguing about that one.
I highly recommend both. That's all I gotta say. I will even say that It Man was one of my favorite movie this year because it came out this year. I know it's a 2023 movie, but it really came out this year. So it's like a movie that was shown in festivals. So like Cole had seen it last year in festival, but it wasn't out for everyone to see. And it got out this year, just like Late Night with the Devil. And I'd say It Man was amazing. It was a satire. It was anyway. I won't go too deep into it. That's Tuesday stream, but watch it if you got the time. And it's not that long. It's like I believe 2 hour, not probably not even 2 hour. It's like it's a short movie, and time flies. You watch it, you just boom, you're done watching it. So that will be next Tuesday at 5 p.m. But if it's a bit too early and you know you can make it, I can push it by half an hour. So 5:30, 5:30. That would be the perfect time to start. Outside of that, next Friday next week, it's the season finale, a movie tier
Wow.
list.
Time
And
flies, man.
hopefully we get a bunch of people. I think DC will come if he wants to. If he still wants to, he will have the link, and you will have the link if you want to. Um, I hope we get a bunch of people, and outside of that, next month a new podcast is starting. I already created the group chat and I added you into it. So when you get the time, you can take a look to what's going on. It's the planning until December. Um, so yeah, I'm very hype about all of these projects. Things are rolling, as they say. Anyway, we are out for tonight. Have a good night, everyone, and goodbye.